Sagamore Spirit releases their 6-year bottled and bond just in time for some of the end of year reviews. Guys, this is a blend of high and low rye mash bills, 100% distilled in Maryland. Last year's batch was absolutely fantastic. I think another year in the barrel could really be that sweet spot. Definitely excited to get into this one, guys. So without further ado, let's go. So as I stated, this is a blend of high and low rye mash bills. Comes in at 100 proof, aged 6 years, and again is 100% distilled in Maryland. Let's get in the nose. Get some spicy fruit there further into the glass. Further away, I think that rye is a little more present further away from the glass. But then as you go further in, it's these kind of like spicy, these spicy kind of fruits that kind of make their appearance there. I actually do pull out a little bit of mint further into the glass as well. Maybe a slight little hint of like some cloves. So mild mint, clove, a little bit of some caramel in there. Again, further away from the glass, it's really kind of a rye dominant there on the nose. Let's get the palate, guys. Cheers. I feel like this has just a little more body to it than last year's release. Like, I feel like there's a little more fruitiness to it. There's definitely some clove, some of that kind of caramel rye spice there on the front of the palate, and like transitioning into the middle of the palate where like that spice kind of meets those like caramel notes. And then at the end of the back of the palate, it really kind of turns more like baking spice and kind of like some earthy notes there too. I mean, that rye kind of continues to kind of trickle down, but I still feel like there's some kind of nice fruitiness there on the palate, but it's just nice viscosity across the palate as it goes down. Just a little more body to it. I feel like there's like a little more structure to it than last year's release. Just off that first sip. Let's get into the second one. Yeah, so for me, again, last year's release, I was a really big fan of last year's release. However, this one I feel there's the some of the notes aren't as sharp. Some of those rye notes aren't as sharp. They're a little more rounded on like the front and middle of the palate. As it gets to the back, you get a little bit more of that earthiness, some of that spiciness that kind of can come off a little sharp. But the flavors on this are really nice, though. Again, there's some of that clove, a little bit of that mint, some caramel there, kind of at the front of the palate, middle of the palate. Now it's kind of started to open up to a little bit more fruit, dominant there on the middle of the palate, and then that spiciness and kind of earthiness, really kind of getting into the back of the palate there. But again, it's like I feel like last year it may come off a little sharp, depending with the rye spices. This is very, very well rounded. Great mouthfeel to it, nice viscosity. I think a little more fruit forward than last year's as well. Let's get the last sip, guys. Cheers. Again, no sharp rye kind of bite there. Very, very well rounded across the palate. Nice viscosity to it still. More of that fruit is really starting to make its appearance there on the middle of the palate. That rye spices just kind of continue to linger on into the back of the palate where it meets kind of like that earthiness into the finish. It has a medium finish to it. I wish the finish was a little bit longer, but like the flavor on the front and middle of the palate kind of make up for that finish. But either way, amazing job here by Sagamore Spirit. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Again, guys, 6-year Sagamore bottled and bond rye in the books. A fantastic rye whiskey. I do feel like that extra year in the barrel definitely changed a good bit of that profile. I think it's not as sharp as last year's was, and I'm not saying last year's was super sharp, but you can definitely feel the difference there on the palate. Definitely, I feel like it's more well-rounded, a little more fruit forward than last year's. Again, still getting some of that like subtle kind of mint and clove there as well, as expected with the majority of ryes. But either way, Sagamore still doing things for people to rave about. And again, being hometown, definitely proud to represent Sagamore Spirit, 100% Maryland distilled rye, guys. So if you're looking for more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button and bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Till next time, guys, stay dusty.